He's a purpose coach, and he's so gracious to come to us today to help us to understand
Yes.
how do we discover our purpose? How do we get to know our purpose, and more so, organizational purpose?
Organizational
Now that
purpose.
last time you were here, Coach, Karibu.
I'm here. Thank you for having me again.
Last time you were here with Frank, you had the conversation on, finding one's purpose.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to wonder if organizational purpose is the same. Do you find it the same way?
Not really.
Okay.
But because organizations are also established by people, then there's always a correlation.
All right.
Okay.
So maybe just for the viewer or for the listener for this matter, we were here last time and you talked about individual purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
And God's agenda is mostly on that. Because the purpose is not even ours, it's His.
Yeah.
We are a conduit, we are a partner with God, we are co-workers to fulfill His purpose. But in the fulfillment of our purpose, we establish things. Just like
Yes.
we build houses,
Right.
we buy cars, we manufacture laptops, we create robots,
Uh-huh.
It's just a means. So in the means to propagate God's purpose is how we establish things. And those
Alright.
things could also inform things like businesses, we establish ministries, we create organizations, institutions, technology. They come as a result of our pursuit to fulfill something. So yes, there's a correlation between organization purpose and especially connected to the founders, the people who got the conviction. This ministry as CITAM or Hope Media, there is that spirit of the intent of its existence before the institution itself.
Yeah.
And you find it's not falling far away from the convictions of the founders. Because for something to live and transcend beyond one generation, there has to be a reason why, a compared reason why. And why, when we see organizations and businesses not being able to kind of go beyond even two generations, I am privy to information that the oldest business in the world is 700 years.
700.
Yes, 700 years. Rockery here have interacted with a business that is approximately 300 years, being managed by the fifth generation.
All right.
That is not something just very easy because we've seen even established enterprises that are founded by, let's say, families and visionary leaders.
Yes.
They don't actually see that generation.
Yeah.
Even to see second generation usually strive. And why? Because we tried just to hand over the system. We tried to hand over the products, the management, but not the why. Because purpose is what can make your children, your great grandchildren see the reason why the business should exist. Or organization here don't just mean business for profit.
Yeah.
Even organizations, even ministries.
Yes.
What you can be able to propagate cross and transcend cross generation is actually the purpose. Because God is also a God of generations.
Yeah.
He worked through ages to propagate His divine will in eternity. So He's taking care of His purpose through generations. That's why even the redemption story of Jesus Christ transcended through generations. And if you read the Bible, generations to generations were all crafting a shadow or kind of a mirror towards the coming of the Messiah.
Yeah.
So there's a generational aspect in every organization. So the question was, is it the same as individual purpose? I would say not exactly the same, because organizations help us. And when I mean organizations, I mean institutions, businesses, ministries, schools, hospitals, hardwares, butcheries, Mama Boga, whatever it is. I like calling them establishments, all ventures.
Yeah.
So it don't have to be for profit. They could be for profit. They could be for a certain impact. So regardless of whatever it is,
yes,
they have a spirit. That's why even in studies, you'll find people studying something like organizational psychology, organizational behavior, because an organization is also like a persona. But it represents what? It represents the convictions of the intent of founding it. So if you want to understand SWITAM, you want to understand Hope FM, I'll go to the spirit and the intent in the thinking that was there and the conviction, the persuasions for founding it.
Right.
And it was founded in a pursuit to propagate somebody who had a calling, had seen a need, and kind of gotten that burden to birth the institution. So that's where the connection. So you cannot delink the organization with the founder. It's quite very hard to link the two. So So the aspect is that, of course, you don't start with the organization. You start with the individual, the founder.
Yeah.
Because God's interest mostly is through man. His system of sustaining his, heavenly and kingdom impact is through human.
Yes.
But now human create the organization in partnership. Because I don't know that I've attempted to answer that question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a bit different, but the organizations help you propagate the purpose because you need an infrastructure, for example. So if you're saying I want to feed people as a purpose, how do you feed people? So in the how to feed people and how do I reach out to more people to feed, I can start a retail outlet.
All right.
That's an organization.
Yeah.
So it's coming at the answering of how do I fulfill, but not necessarily that it is coming as the first. You don't start with the organization.
Okay.
You start with the individual convictions and persuasions, which is more God-given.
All right.
Yeah.
And is it possible that an organization can run without a purpose?
Yes, and let me talk about the service and some of the deceptive ideologies that we've come to be fed and actually making us more not impactful and not sustainability. Let me give you some statistics on something that we've been doing in terms of research. 67 of businesses, purely businesses,
Yes.
are founded because of passion and a desire for freedom.
So you want to disconnect passion and purpose?
Yes, and I think we did that justice last time.
Yeah.
Because passion is not purpose.
Yes.
But you need passion to execute purpose. But you don't start with the passion.
Yeah.
If I check the things I'm passionate about, I love this, I love, that if you check that statement, it is more self-looking. It's more of a selfish interest.
Yeah.
I know you can talk about, yes, God give us the desires of our hearts. We can say even the passion I have is God's given. So I understand that conversation.
Yes.
But a large part of passion is purely a bit very selfish. And it gives, actually, it breeds competition. That's why there's a lot of, you hear in the business language, competitive. That word is coming because of that passion aspect. Because when you're passionate about something, it becomes a bit of a threat if somebody else have the same passion. But purpose is non-compete. Because purpose is more the reason why. And because of that, there's a difference. My purpose cannot conflict with yours.
Yes.
Even if we might be in the same space, there's no competition. In fact, purpose push for collaboration than competition.
Competition.
All right.
So when you see competition, is more passion-driven enterprises.
All right.
Because in the passion, there's a drive. I want to be. Look at most vision statements. What do they say? To be the leading.
Yeah.
So everybody else become what?
The follower.
That's a competitive mind, and that's why we fail. It's not a business of I am the leader, I am the who kusema, I'm Missy kusema. That's not the issue.
Yes.
The issue is you are for impact.
Right.
But in pursuing the impact, which is purpose, ideally you'll get spaces where you have dominion, not competition. That's what that's different. So yes, in fact, many businesses currently, we did something last week. By God's design, I don't know, maybe it was a precursor for this session. One of my research assistants was able to profile 105 organizations. We are hoping to reach around 300 very soon. So out of the 105 organizations, guess what we were looking for? And here it's in Kenya. These organizations in Kenya, and we picked, there were around almost 17 sectors.
Yes.
And subsectors, and you're trying to pick approximately 10 companies in each of the sectors. So you go to banks, pick 10. The top. You go to insurance 10. And you're trying to see whether the organizations that have put in a purpose statement within their blueprint. Guess what? Out of 105, only 91.
Yes.
Sorry, 91. So not 91 did not have.
All right.
So,
out of 105.
Yes. So only 14 had a purpose statement.
So there is mission, vision, and the purpose.
Exactly. And we'll talk about that. Because the purpose is the reason for existence. But people have been mistaken, of course, the mission aspect with the purpose. That's usually very contradictory.
Okay.
People kind of have they are not able to differentiate between purpose and mission.
Yeah.
But I'll make it simple for a layman language. In a layman language, purpose is the reason, the intent why you're doing something. But the mission is actually what you have to do
To achieve.
to achieve that purpose.
Okay.
Then vision is the level of ambition.
Mm-hmm.
So vision is internal, not external. In fact, if you have in a website telling us your vision, you're telling us things we don't need to know.
Oh.
Because a vision is your ambition.
It's my business.
It's the ambition as to whether I want to conquer 10.
Okay.
I want to reach Africa. That's your thing. That's not
Smart.
our thing.
All right.
Purpose, it's more a public statement. because it's actually the promise. Because you were born not for yourself. You're born to fulfill God's agenda, and in the fulfillment of God's agenda, you're impacting who? Other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Him.
Right.
Get that? Eh?
Yeah.
So because of that, the purpose statement is more a promise out there. If I'm saying I'm dressing people, I'm feeding people, that statement is not me feeding me, it's feeding people. So the purpose is more a promise externally. And that's what should organization amplify more. In 2022, Harvard Business Review on 13 January, they released an article, quite interesting article, which I do a lot of training and discuss around it. They said one of the emerging C-level roles is roles in the executive, the CEO, COO, CFO, all those things.
Yeah.
And they say the emerging role fast growing in the Fortune 50 companies in the world was a role they were calling Chief Purpose Officer. Why?
Wow.
During COVID, research shows organizations that were more purpose-led, they were resilient.
All right.
Why? It's because purpose-led organizations don't start with a product. They start with a need.
All right.
Okay.
And then they respond with a redemptive solution. Now, that's a difference. I think we talked about this briefly last time, or maybe for the sake of the new listener.
Yes.
You can go to China, go in your excursion through flying Emirates. I've had the package and, what you're doing for Emirates. And
Yes.
as you enjoy Emirates, you go and see nice executive watches and phones and cameras and CCTVs. And then when you're there, you get inspired. Wow, I think Frank and Sharon, we need to buy these watches. So what do? Remember, they didn't send you.
Yes.
It's you in your own excursion there. You found nice products, clothes, and all that.
Yeah.
In your touring, and then you decide, I think Sharon may need this. It's you thinking.
I don't
So you buy a whole bundle of clothes. Then you come. Then what
Yeah.
do you do here? When you come here, you force it through the necks of people, through
Right.
something you call marketing. And I want to deconstruct mindset here.
Okay.
The reason why people overmarket things is because there's no need.
They're forcing.
You're trying to push it. So do you know what we call it? You are clearing stock.
So you are talking.
Who sent you? I get it.
Yeah,
That is not a purpose.
You are talking about selling
Yes.
and selling clothes and dressing people.
That's what I said last time.
Yeah.
There's a difference there. So dressing people start from where? So selling clothes mean a transactional engagement, which is product anchored. So you want to clear stock.
Yeah. So that you can.
You don't care whether something fits somebody or they look nicer. In fact, look at how people hawk things. I want to force it.
Yeah.
Give me the money. And immediately the money pass hands.
Yes. Disappear.
That is not a purpose-led business. It's
Right.
not driven on need. Now, God is a great designer. Let me tell you why. When He created us, He made sure that you are not self-contained, Frank.
Yeah.
Today, do you know you're impacted by so many people? By
That's
now,
right.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
took breakfast.
Yeah.
Did
Yes.
you farm that carrot?
No.
No.
No. So God has made sure that there are different people playing different value chain or contribution to the value chain for you.
Wow.
And that is the principle of need. That need is what makes us connect. So the need comes before the product. So it's not about the
Alright.
carrot and the bread you took. There is a need first.
Yeah.
That need is what drives the product. No, purpose-led businesses and even organizations prioritize the need first, that impact or the purpose before the product. So many organizations, research is there now. I'm happy at least for the last 3-4 years, there's been a lot of awareness on purpose. Globally, here, don't talk globally. Actually, if you look at even Fortune, go to some of the websites. I think one I can even push to is like, for example, Isuzu. Go to Isuzu website. I can mention their brands for a positive thing. Do you know what on the website? You will not find a mission. You will not find a vision. You find a purpose.
All right.
I have studied even some of the Fortune 50, the global big companies right now. They've discovered, wait a minute, it's the purpose that matters. The why we exist.
Yeah.
As to whether now you use or kind of leverage the purpose to bring you profit, that's now is a different conversion. And yes, when you're purpose led, because as long as there is a need, you're in business. In fact, I usually say this, Frank and Sharon.
Yes.
As long as there's a need to meet and there are people to serve, you're in business. You
Yeah.
get profit. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But you don't start with a profit. than the product.
Yeah.
And that's why we have long perception people who are going into business.
Yes.
They are more going to business for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And that you find now business is corrupting. I'll give you another research. 42%, this is research done by a body I respect most called CB Insights. It's one of the fantastic authoritative research organizations that gives very undiluted research. CB Insights released something earlier this year, and they said they have studied thousands and thousands of startups, new fresh businesses. And they say majority of them of course corrupt. The statistics around how they corrupt in the first 1 year and all that. Barely do they even go for that year.
Yes.
But they say 42% why they corrupt. 42% explanation of why they corrupt is that there's no need.
Wow.
So they exist.
Or 29% where they talk about lack of money, cash flow, capital, cash flow, trading capital. No, it's 29%. 42% no need.
No need.
And that's the example, the same thing. You go to China, come with the bales of clothes and all your WhatsApp status. And I'm speaking because I know that people doing this business for survival.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But when it is not driven on need, you have even to spend a lot of money marketing. Because, why should I buy it? I'm not in need.
Yeah.
And because of that, the business is not sustainable. You'll sell it for a moment, and at a point, it will crash.
You look for another
So
one?
it shouldn't be for survival.
It is for survival. As I said, I didn't fit the statistics.
Yes.
67% of motivation for doing business, the motivation is on passion, and more so freedom.
Yeah.
Now there's a risk there.
Yes.
Human being, of course, hate control. That's why sometimes we hate employment. We don't want to be under someone's.
I want to be my
So
own
they say,
boss.
I want to be my own base.
Yeah.
Wrong reason. Okay?
Right.
Actually, 67% of businesses are around freedom. Whether it's financial freedom, whatever you want to call it, or whether to be my own boss, I wake up at the time I want, whatever, which is an illusion. That is not the right intent. Because it is still selfish.
Yeah.
I want freedom. So it's you.
It's for me.
Yeah.
It's for you. But you are not born for yourself.
There's not.
In fact, we define poverty how? Poverty is living for yourself.
Wow.
And do you know what is wealth?
Yeah.
Do you know what's wealth? You
What's
can put the word as an acronym. Wealth is we all thrive.
We
It's
all
not about
thrive.
you.
Come on.
We all thrive. That's wealth.
All right. Hold it right there, Gabriel. Let's have the business with Joseph, and then we'll be back in a few moments. All right. All right. As we get to Jose in a few moments, just remind you that we are having this conversation with Gabriel Nyamu, and you can ask all your questions and comments. Send them through to 0933. It's our SMS line. 0717 400 555 is our WhatsApp line.
The Business Line. It's just business.
Good morning. Land prices in Nairobi's satellite towns have risen of the fastest as investors eye a piece of these areas. Now, data from the Hans Consult show
Gabriel.
Thank you, Sharon.
All right. We left it at a very crucial point, and I'm really wondering about this time of ours, where it is going, because we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But you were still giving us the difference between, mission, vision,
Yep.
purpose.
Yeah.
Let's
sure.
carry on.
That's true. That's true. So as I said, purpose is the reason for existence.
Yeah.
And mostly that purpose, it's God given and it's quite very transcendent. I mean, it's something that is a bit big and long term most of
Yes.
the time that transcend your own life. So you find it's something that you provide. Last time we talked about 4 areas of purpose. We talked about universal purpose.
Yes.
There was the purpose for humanity, whether they believe God or not.
Yeah.
Then there's purpose for generation. And then there's purpose for an individual. So we had 4 dimensions.
Yes.
So because of that, an individual is part of a generation. Like now we're in 21st century.
Mhm.
There's God's purpose for this generation.
Yes.
In fact, I know we say it a lot in our prayer and devotions, but sometimes we don't think through.
Yeah.
So there's a generational purpose. Even during the lineage of, the coming of the Messiah, every generation, there's a way they ushered and hand over something
Yes.
to the next generation, and that propagation brought in the redemptive purpose for God, especially through the Messiah.
Yeah.
Question for us is, what is the individual purpose that aligns with the generational purpose? Because there's no way God allowed you to live in 21st century.
Yes.
Where your purpose is for 17th century.
Yeah.
There is no way.
Yeah.
I see.
So you have to have that illumination or revelation around what is the generational purpose for now.
Mhm.
And within this should be in the context of human purpose, because
Yeah.
there's a purpose for humanity.
Yes.
Why did God create man? At the end of the day, so it's also part of that. And then finally, there's the universal purpose. So universal purpose is the purpose for creation. So businesses, which are founded by individuals, they also need to kind of have an alignment. I laugh, though at least I know people are using this terminology, but in a different context. You may have heard people talk about human-centered experiences,
Yes.
human-centered, and all those things. That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Only that, of course, depending on who is saying it, it can also mean something else.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's a whole tick I can give around that human-centered, because every business you do have a human at the center somewhere.
Yes.
Because God's eye is on people.
Yeah.
So your business, if you look at it, an optician is looking at the eye.
Mhm.
Ophthalmologist, the eye, orthopedic, the bone.
Mhm.
Most businesses are actually all stemming from kind of impacting a human somehow.
Yeah.
So the purpose is the intent. The mission, as I said, is the what you do
Mhm.
for you to fulfill. So you create a pathway. This is what you do to fulfill the purpose. Then vision is very selfish.
Mhm.
Because let's say I am dressing people, but
Yeah.
the issue of do I dress 10 of them, 100 of them, 1,000? That's a vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I dress only Africa or do I dress the world? That's more of a, and that comes from the extent of conviction that you have and the way you're able to see the future. So you'll get your vision. So, but the challenge we have is this.
Yes.
Most businesses do not start from purpose. They start from survival. Actually, we have statistics. 88%
Mhm.
88.
of businesses
Yes.
are started or they exist for survival. Somebody, that's the livelihood.
Mhm.
So somebody is defending their business. That's why they cannot even delegate the business, because this is where my bread, the daily bread. This is where my daily bread. So you jealously guard it.
Yeah.
So, but then doesn't even sometimes grow,
Yeah.
because it's purely for survival. So it's more for consumption, subsistence, and just remain there.
Mhm.
And only 12 have been formed on impact. I'm doing this because of impact and somehow a bit generational wealth. So I'm building something that is for generational, around 12%. So that's a worry, because that's why now most businesses are collapsing by
Yes.
the third year, by the fifth year. So it's not about nowadays. We are not so much impressed by growth. By the way, we've moved from there.
Yeah.
We are more looking at generational, cross-generational transcendence of whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Is the impact sustainable? We've seen brands that were global brands, and within 10 years, they are no longer.
Yeah.
So you don't surprise us by just saying we are grown, we're in 20 countries. So what?
Mhm.
Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable?
Right.
Yeah. So I think so there are mindsets that have to shift. And one of the mindsets, for example, the thinking, let's say for the founder or the board, if you're in a transactional environment for survival, do you know what you think? What is best for me? And when you go to boardroom,
Yeah.
you'll hear people talking about strategy. As a
Yes.
strategy consultant, I do that a lot. And people say, what will work for our competitive advantage?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You automatically pick that's a transactional business, because
Yes.
it's more of me.
Yeah.
A purpose-led will have a very disruptional way of thinking. They'll be talking about what will work to propagate the impact that we are making and improve or influence, or whatever word you want to use there, the space. So what work for us? For example, if you're in media, what work for the industry to be more better?
Right.
Not what works for me or my company.
Yes.
When it is for my company, it's kind of a bit more that competitive kind of mindset, and it's very selfish. But you're looking at how can we even create, that's what people are talking about, ecosystem.
Yes.
So a purpose-led venture will be more looking at how do I disrupt, if I'm in real estate, how do I champion transformation within the space? Not necessarily for me, but within the wider market that God has given me. It's a complete different mindset. And you notice, the time you think ecosystem, are you not talking about dominion?
You are.
Are you talking about pace setting?
You are.
Are you talking about being the leader, be the prototype, be the model?
Yeah.
And why would you not be sustainable?
You have to be.
You
Automatically.
have to.
So it's only that in the beginning you have to disrupt the thinking of why are you in business. I think I talked about last time a person I met who was doing fantastic business
Yes.
in 5 countries, and he's telling me, Gabriel, my business have grown,
Yeah.
but right now I'm not happy.
Very empty.
I feel empty. Why? I don't know what to do with the growth. Because the
Wow.
money I had made 10 years ago was already enough for me for
Yes.
4th generation to not even work.
Uh-huh.
4th generation. This person
Wow.
I met one-on-one. He told me 10 years ago I had made enough billions that my family don't, even my 3rd generation, don't necessarily have to work.
Mhm.
Today we are 10 times bigger,
Yeah.
but I feel more empty.
Wow.
So it has grown. So I asked, why did you start the business?
Mhm.
I think it was just for monetary gain. So what? You
You
feel
have
empty?
gained. Uh-huh.
So now this is a question.
Okay.
I also see people starting ventures and then they sell them off. And I know why they do that most of the time.
Mhm.
Raise capital and all that, dilute and sell off and, mortgage it. Question is, if the purpose was given to you, if purpose was given to Moses, can Moses sell the purpose venture of redempting, the redemptive venture from taking the children of Israel from Egypt to Canaan? Could he have sold it to somebody else in a stock market?
Such a challenge.
Wow.
And I want to challenge business people.
Yeah.
So if really what you're doing was your purpose, why would you sell it to somebody else? How can you is it transferable? Yes, of course, if you disobey, God can use anybody, but it's transferable. If your purpose is to dress people, can you transfer that? That's a question.
Wow.
But we can have that conversation in another meeting.
I tell
We
you.
definitely will. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Quite thought-provoking conversation right there. May God help us.
May God do.
We really need his help on this one. But that has been very powerful. Thank you for
Very.
coming.
Okay.
Ah,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a blessing to God's people. Our time is gone. We're declaring from Isaiah 58, verse 11. My name is Sharon Aitore Wangenye.
Favored Frank is my name. Bye bye.
See you tomorrow.
FM.
It's now 9 a.m.
Listen and live.
A revival is breaking out.
The voice of hope in the air. News on the go with Joseph Maingi.
Good morning. Kenyans are eagerly awaiting on President William Ruto's first State of the Nation address today. The head of state is set to deliver his first ever State of the Nation address since taking over power in September last year. The president will address a joint parliamentary sitting of both the National Assembly and the Senate this afternoon. This will be the second time that President William Ruto will be addressing the parliament as a president since his election in August last year. Now, his first address took place in September last year, marking the official commencement of the 13th Parliament. This year's address comes at a time when Kenyans are grappling with the high cost of living occasioned by the surge in palm prices. The address also comes in the wake of the ongoing bipartisan talks, as well as the House consideration on the request by Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki on the deployment of police officers to the UN-based backed security mission in Haiti. And Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka has termed the impeachment attempt of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza as mayor political. Now, in an exclusive interview this morning, Onyonka has urged the Meru leaders to be united to resolve the impulse in the county.
Observation and analysis is purely based on my understanding that the problems that you have in Meru are actually political. Is she innocent completely? No. Are there some things that need to be looked at? Yes. I think the leadership of Meru needs to go back to the drawing board.
On his part, Migori Senator Eddie Okerta has taken issue with a section of leaders who victimized the governor for being a woman. In an exclusive interview, Okerta has said that some of the attacks by a section of Meru leaders are purely unacceptable.
That is not how we treat our women. That's not how we treat our daughters. That's not how we treat our wives. Any member of parliament should support that. In fact, I was surprised that some of those MPs who say the things that they said are not in committee. Those people belong to committee for treating a woman like that. It was not out of context. It was not agenda card that was put on senators. It is pure presentation of how some men have treated women in this country, and you cannot support.
And the government has increased marriage processing charges for Kenya spouses by 10 times to 50,000 shillings at the Attorney General's office. The new charges are a drastic increase from the previous 5,000 shillings. Now, according to a Gazette notice dated the 7th of this month, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning has granted the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration the authority for the State Department of Immigration and Citizen Service to revise their charges and levies to its services. The charges are set to hit Kenyans who are looking to formalize the marriage amid the tough economic times experienced in the country. And Anna Thiambo, the woman accused of killing Nairobi Hospital's finance director Eric Maigo, will today take fresh charges on the murder. The fresh plea taking follows the direction by the High Court Judge Kanyi Kimondo to allow the suspect 2 weeks to consult with her lawyers. This was after Thiambo pleaded guilty to the charges of murder when she first appeared to take charge before Kimondo. The matter was referred to newly established Kibera High Court, where the charges are set to be read afresh to the suspect. Thiambo has remained in remand at the Langata prison. And finally, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki is set to meet the Departmental Committee on Administrative and Internal Security over the planned deployment of the National Police Service officers to Haiti. Kindiki had earlier noted that the Kenya Police will be deployed to Haiti only if the Parliament approves. He said that the request by the UN has first to be approved by both the National Assembly and the Senate as per the requirement of the Constitution. Last month, the Cabinet approved the deployment of the 1,000 police officers to Haiti, jumping one legal hurdle in the approval needed to have the move being legally backed. A dispatch from the State House in Nairobi said that the country's Council of Ministers had approved the deployment, which now heads to the Parliament for needed ratification. You know, are up to date. Moina Nawa, good morning. I'm Mainge Mbogwa.
News on the go, keeping you up to speed with the latest news.
Rafiki soul is a promise of our hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu. Rafiki
Thank you for being a friend of hope. Coming up shortly is Hope for Today with Pastor John Carson.
You set the sun in the morning sky. You frame the stars in the night. You made the heavens, the sea, and the land. You hold them all in the palm of your hand. Who is like you, oh Lord? Who is like you, oh Lord? There is no one. All creation declares none can compare to the greatness of our God. Of our God. You are the promise of Israel, the shield of Abraham. You conquered death, hell, and the grave by the power of your blood. You are mighty to save. Who is like you, oh Lord? Who is like you, oh Lord? There is no one. All creation declares none can compare to the greatness of our God. Of our God. Higher than the highest, greater than the greatest, Lord of all creation. Who is like you? Stronger than the strongest, purer than the purest, ruler of the nations. Nobody like you. Higher than the highest, greater than the greatest, Lord of all creation. Who is like you? Stronger than the strongest, purer than the purest, ruler of the nations. Who is like you? Who is like you, O Lord? Who is like you, O Lord? There is no one. All creation